Hey everybody, I'm back. It's Wednesday night. It's time for another stream. I enjoyed the last one, and I hope you did as well and learned a couple things. And yeah, so tonight what we're going to be doing is remixing this rating animation by JC. It's also by Guido. It's like one of those chicken and the egg things. I'm not sure which one came first. But anyways, we're going to take a look at this animation. I'm going to show you how all the animations work, how the state machine works, and then I'm going to tear it down and build something new with it. Now, I've been watching a lot of Hot Ones lately, and I was thinking like, okay, maybe they have a website where they sell, their hot sauces, and they do, and the rating systems that are on there are basically like this, where there are stars. But I think it would be cool to retheme it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to make a chili pepper rating scale thing based off of this. And yeah, we're going to do it from scratch. So design, rig, animation, and then actually do the state machine. So let's go ahead and remix this file. Yes, I've already remixed it. I did a little bit of looking into it, making sure I knew what all was going on in here. Okay. So let's start by looking at the design first. Let me adjust some stuff real quick. Okay. So let's look at the design first. Now, it has a root group like I always recommend using. This one's called stars. Doesn't really matter what you call it. We're not really going to animate anything with this group. This is just like an in case group in case we need to scale it down, scale it up, move it on our artboard, something like that. And then we have a couple different groups that make up each star. And then below those, we have the two different stars that make up, you can see the outline here. And then we have the star in the middle. So there's 5 of those groups. And then there's a couple different effects objects here that are used to create like a bloom effect and then kind of like a spark. So when we look at the animations, let's look at the animations first. Yeah. The interesting things about these animations is the way that as we go from 1 star to 2 star, you can see that the intensity gets a little bit, it like slightly increases for every star rating. So that's something when I remix it, I want to keep in mind to do. And then there's also like this black hole effect for any of the stars that you click on. You can see that the stars on the side actually scoot in closer towards it. So that's another thing that we're going to do. And then when we get to 4 stars, we start adding on some additional effects. So like this star right here, when this one goes off, you have the little bloom effect that happens. We'll do something like that. And then on the 5 star, you get an extra special bloom with the bloom and the sparks that fly off of it. Now, when you put it into the state machine and add the listeners, it's all interactive and stuff. This state machine is set up in a way that I don't think is often used, where we're using the any state to go between all of the different animations. And the reason that you do it like this instead of set it up in some sort of web is because the web's going to get really complicated, and using this any state allows us to go to any of these animations regardless of what animation we're actually playing at the time. So if you were going to try and set this up without the any state, it looks something like this. So idle empty, that's where we'd start. And I can actually get rid of this entry here. So you'd want it to start at idle. And then from idle, you'd be able to go to 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars. So I'm just going to hook this up. I'm not going to configure any of the transitions or anything like that, just to show you why we'd want to use the any state. All right, so let me clean this up just a little bit. Okay, so that's where we can go from idle. But when we get to 1 star can also go back to idle. It can go to 2 stars. It can go to 3 stars. There's that. 4 stars, 5 stars. And you can already see why this state machine design is not really good, because yes, we can do it, but it's going to have so many transitions and things like that. So instead of going through all that pain and having 100 different transitions to configure, we do it like this. We use the any state with a number input to tell us which star we're going to play. So if it's at 0, it's playing idle, 1 for 1 star, 2 for 2 stars, so on and so forth to the very end. So that's how the state machine's set up. We've also got the listeners set up. Those are pretty easy. They're just on the different star groups. And when you click on those, it sets the rating to 1 here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that's all the sort of background info that we need on the file, how it works, how it's set up. Hey, Laura, good to see you. So that's how it's all set up. So let's go ahead and tear this thing down and build something new. So back to design mode we go. And I'm going to go ahead and change the background color. Make it black so everything's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to go ahead and group all these because I'm going to get rid of everything. But I'm going to group them so I can turn it down and use these stars as a reference. I'm also going to get rid of the star glow, get rid of those. Turn these down some more. Okay, so this is just my reference layer. I'm going to use this for to get the spacing right between everything. And then we're going to build all the animations and rigs and all that stuff. Okay, so we need to make a chili pepper. So I'm going to do that with the pen tool. So I'm going to start at the base of it. Just kind of click and drag, give myself a nice little curve. This. All right, got a chili pepper shape. I'm going to adjust some of these just a little bit. Okay, so that's a decent looking chili pepper. Now, our chili pepper needs like kind of a top. So I'm going to make another shape here. And the reason I'm doing it on another shape layer, actually, you need to do it like this. So you can have like a little curved bump there. The reason I'm doing it on the shape layer is I want to be able to change the color of it. So instead of doing it on another path, if it was going to be the same color as this base shape, I'd put it on the same path. But anyways, new shape layer. Just going to make some adjustments, squeeze that down a little bit. All right, that probably looks all right. Let's add some colors in here. And we're just going to build one for right now, and then we'll copy this. Actually, these colors probably need to be flipped. Yeah. Let's take this color, actually this color for this, and then I'll just find a lighter green. All right. Now we need a little stem, so let's add a stem in here. Pen tool again. I'm just going to do like this. Remove the fill, add a stroke, rounded end caps, and then I'm going to change this. The handles on that so I can get a little bit of a curve in it. Oops, close the path, open it back up. All right, now let's move that down below and just go ahead and add that. Now that is a thick stem, so let me turn that down just a little bit. Okay, so we've got the base of our chili pepper. I'm going to add a couple little details. This little light shine here on the side, like that. Okay, easy. Adjust the curves. All right. And then a little bit up here on the top. Like so. Curve that a little bit. Just to make it a little nicer. Okay. Lighten this just a little bit. Not too much. Maybe a little bit more than that. Let's try this. All right, too shiny. That's probably fine. Okay, so we've got that. I'm gonna I'm going to do something that I didn't do in my mock-ups. I'm going to try and mess around with some gradients here. I can try a linear first, which kind of looks okay. Yeah, that might be fine. All right, I'm going to use a little purple there. Maybe a little like yellow up here. Maybe. See how that looks. Okay, that actually looks kind of nice. All right, now I'm going to add another gradient up here. Notice I'm using extra fill layers. So instead of making more shapes and doing it like that, I'm just using extra fill layers and then adding in a little gradient. And I'm keeping the second stopper at 0% opacity so that it just barely mixes in that color. All right, and then I'm going to add purple here for that. Okay, that looks pretty nice. I'm not sure that I'm actually going to add anything to the stem, but it's nice. It kind of, that gradient kind of separates this little top of the pepper from the stem there. All right, so we've got the first chili pepper done. Now I need to group all this stuff. So this is going to be chili. We're just going to call it pepper 1. Pepper 1. Okay. So we've got the pepper, which is like the white star that was in our little star rater, but we need the outline for it as well because we need a spot to mark, like this is where you're supposed to tap to rate it. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this, move it down, and call it pepper outline. And then we're just going to retool everything that we have. I'm going to get rid of this shape. Oops, which shape did I just delete? Did I duplicate that? What's the deal there? No. Okay. Well, I'm scared I deleted something I wasn't supposed to. Oh, but duh, because I'm deleting from the shape below. That's, listen, it happens. Okay, so we have this. Let's get rid of these gradients. We don't need those anymore on our outline group here. And we just need to change the colors. So I'm going to actually bring the opacity back up, and I'm going to use the same colors that are on this star layer down here. Here it is. Okay. So let's grab the base. I actually need to get rid of, let's see. We need a dark gray, something like that. And then this is going to be the same color. And then this stroke is going to be the same color. Boom. All right, so we've got our first little part of the outline. Now we need to add outlines to this, just like the star has. So we're just going to add a stroke. Let's beef the stroke up there a little bit. And then we're going to use that color. Do the same thing on this one. Stroke. Beef it up a little bit. And then for this, we're going to add another stroke and give it rounded end caps. And then use that color. And then change the color for the outer stroke, which is this one, to the color that we're using for the outer stroke. Okay, so we've got our outline. We've got our pepper. Now, I don't think we need these stars for too much longer. Let's turn those down again so we can use it as a spacing guide. And I'm just going to plop it down there. Now, I'm going to have to do some changes to the spacing to get it to work. And then I want to stack these guys on top of each other like this. Okay. And then I'm going to group these two together because if you remember how these are set up, there's the star group, but then there's also the, this is the white star and this is the star base. Now I've done a little bit of an extra artwork. These are single path objects, and I have multi-path objects, so I need to group these. So we're going to group these two together, and I'm going to call this Pepper Group 1. All right, boom. Pepper Group 1 done. I actually don't need to stick it there. Yeah, because now we're lower. opacity. All right, so now let's duplicate this, move it across, and we're going to have to redo this spacing because these are a little more slanted than these stars are. So we need to give ourselves a little bit of extra room. But this is a good like initial spacing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this. Nope, I'm going to bring that back. Take these sparks because I'm going to use those later. What else we got? Nothing. All right, boom. Get rid of those. Don't need them anymore. All right. So one of the things that we're going to do is instead of staying at the same color for every pepper, I'm going to change the color for every pepper as they go up in like heat or rating, whatever you want to call it. But before I do that, let me go ahead and rename all this stuff. Pepper 2, pepper 3, pepper 4, pepper 5. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the stuff below here. Yeah, we just need to go backwards. There we go. Okay. Just a couple more. No. Lost count. That's 2, not 3. Here we go. All right, and that's all good. Collapse all that down. Okay, now we can go in and change our colors. So I'm going to start changing the colors. We're going to just start with the base color and then move from there. I'm going to say that this one's going to get a little bit brighter. We're going to say this gets a little bit brighter so it's still shiny. This one, I'm going to actually change the color of this green and make it kind of like an ugly green, kind of like it's a rotten pepper, like you don't actually want to eat it. Just to give each rating, make it a little bit more, I guess, spicy and more attractive to eat or whatever. So we've got kind of like our sick green. We've got our nice bright green. Now this one is where we're going to start transitioning towards red peppers because the final pepper is going to be like bright red. So let's go towards a yellow. Yeah, it's like an orange, kind of like an orange bell pepper or something. Change the shine color. Let's go to orange. Actually sample that and just turn it up a little bit. This one, let's go towards red. And we're probably going to have to change some of these gradients. Let's see. Let me take that. There we go. All right, now this one's going to be bright red. Okay. So now we need to change some of these gradients because it's not mixing too great with my transition ones here. So what were we using here? We were using yellow. So let's make it a brighter orange. Okay. And then this one, instead of yellow, let's make it red. And this one, we'll make it like a really hot red. Okay, so I like the progression of that. That looks pretty good. I think, oh, boop, look at that shine. You ever seen a green shine on a red pepper before? Me either. Okay, so that's fixed. All that's good. All right. I think we are relatively set. Let's work on this spacing for a second. And then make sure our hierarchy is organized, and then we'll go in and do some animating. Now, I don't know if you'd call this a trick or whether or not any of y'all use this, but I want to get some extra spacing here. So we don't have grids right now. So what I'm going to do is just make myself a little rectangle and then line it up with the outside corner of this pepper and the corner of this pepper, and then use this again, scoot it over like this, just to keep my spacing relatively similar. Maybe it's too much. We'll see in a second. All right, scoot both those over. And then do this over here. Okay, that's pretty close. All right, I think that's a little bit better spacing for something that's kind of tilted to the side. All right, so we've got that done. Let's go and organize the hierarchy here. So I'm going to group everything. Boom, it's grouped. I'm going to call this my root group. And I think we're ready to go. Now, the good thing is we still have all of our animations. So I don't actually need to create any new ones for now. Later, I'm going to add in an additional layer to put in some effects because I need to change up how the effects were actually done. So let's call this our logic layer and go in and start building these animations. Now, for our idle empty animation, what we need to key is the scale for our groups, the opacity for things that are going to be displayed, and the opacity for things that aren't going to be displayed. So I'm just going to grab all these, go ahead and hit their scale. I'm going to do their position because we're going to animate that. And then let's go into here and say, all right, Pepper 1, your opacity is 0. You're not displaying. Pepper 2, you're gone too. In fact, all of you fancy art peppers, get out of my life. No, don't get out of my life. Just get off the screen until it's your time. It's not your time yet. Okay. And then the outlines, all the outlines need to be keyed at 100% because I'm going to turn those off whenever that particular star rating is selected. All right, there's the other one. Key those at 100. All right. Idle empty is done. Now let's do our 1-star animation. And we're just going to leave it at star. You know what? No, we're going to change that. 1 pepper, 1 heat, 1 Scoville animation. There we go. All right, so I'm going to use the keys that we just created for the idle empty in that first animation because that's our starting point. And now we need to add in the keys for the 1-star. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to the pepper group for our fancy pepper and turn it back on. It's your time to shine, buddy. Let's do it. Okay, so it's on. Pepper outline. You need to go off. You're not needed anymore. Okay, so I just changed the opacity at the start, and now let's put in that bouncing animation. So we're going to go, let's try this first. So I'm going to animate everything on the pepper group 1 instead of pepper 1. So let's shrink it down. Let's go down to like 80. And then we'll go, what is that? 10 frames. And then we'll bring it up and we'll go to like 115. And then keeping that same 10 frame timing, we'll go down again, slightly past 100. We'll go to 90 and then we'll go back up to 100 10 frames later. All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, looks pretty good. Need to add some easing to it. Start with the cubic. Looks pretty good. I'm going to adjust this first one to make it a little punchier. Okay, that looks good. Now, the other thing that the star rating that we're remixing had was those X keys that actually pulled these other peppers in towards this first one. So let me add that. And I'm just going to match up the timing. So let's start with this one. All right. So your X is already keyed. Scoot you over. Scoot you back. Scoot you just past where you started. And then bring you back home. Okay. Looks good. We need to match that easing. So we're going to do that. Okay, and then I think it can extend a little bit further. So maybe we'll go to this pepper. All right. Let's scoot that over a little bit. Scoot it back out a little bit. Scoot it just past where it's going to start. And then bring it back to the start. All right, that looks pretty good. Could probably take some of that movement off, but I think it's fine for now. In fact, I think this one can move a little bit more. Let's just move it just a hair more. And then bring it back out this way a little bit more. Okay, I like that. And then we're just gonna have the motion fall off on this next pepper. So we'll go to this one and do it again. So this time we're just gonna scoot it over just a hair. Scoot it back just a hair. And then scoot it the other way just a little bit, and then bring it back home. Make sure it's not too much. Match all this easing up really quick. Okay, that looks pretty good. We could probably add some motion on that. If it doesn't look good, I'll go back and change it later. All right, that's our 1 Scoville animation done. Let's do the 2 Scoville animation. Now, again, I'm going to use the first keys that I created for the 1 Scoville as the starting point for the 2. Oops, I accidentally copied the wrong thing. There we go. Copy that, paste that, boom. Okay. So now all that's good. Now we need to turn this pepper on. Boom, that's done. Turn the outline off. That's done. And let's add that motion. So same timing as before. I'm probably going to use the same amount of scale as before. So we're going to go down to 80. 10 frames later, bring it back up, and we're going to go to 120. And then 10 frames later, we're going to go down to 90. And then we're going to come back to 100. Slap some easing on it. Change this easing to that, make it more punchy. Okay, looks good. Let's get the X and Y, the X positions done. So let's start with this one. There we go. Over. Out. Over. Bring it back home. Same thing. Hey, Michael, what's up, man? Okay. So we got the X position done on that one. Let's do the same for these 3. Bring it in. Bring it out. Scoot it over a little bit. Bring it home. All right. Match the easing. Make sure we're not going too far. Nope, looks good. Do the same thing here on this one. Okay, start. Bring it over just a little bit more. Bring it out. Over. Home. Now, you don't, when you're remixing this, you don't need to rip out all these keys like this. You can just replace your artwork under the star group. But I want to show you how this is all animated. So that's why we're doing it the long way. And we got like, you know, an hour, maybe an hour and a half together. So we got to kill some time. You know what I mean? Okay. So we're moving. Let's see. I feel like this pepper can come in a little bit more. Like this. I actually had some really hot sauce for lunch today. I had some tacos. And there's this hot sauce called Melinda's. Excuse me while I sort of talk about my hot sauce from today. And it's their ghost pepper sauce. And I'm the kind of guy who likes spicy food. And I like it to the point where I start getting the hiccups. That's like the perfect level of spice to me, is when you start getting hiccups. If it's like that and it keeps going or whatever, then it's an issue. Like if I need milk for it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, I think we're done with that one. We can move on to the next one. So once again, moving on to the 3 Scoville. In fact, you know what? It might even have an extra I. I don't know. Okay, start with the first keys from our last animation. Paste those. make the little adjustments that we need. So the outline, go away. Pepper. No, that was the wrong group. Let's undo that. I don't need to do that. Okay, outline, go away. Pepper, turn on. All right. Now, what we can do, instead of animating that that scale every time, we can actually go back here. And let me find the groups that I was using the scale on. This one. We can take these. So these are all scale keys and position keys, which is fine. Just take the scale keys. Go to the 3 Scoville, and for this dude, just select that group, paste it, and now we've got that same the same scaling and easing and everything in there. Now we can't reuse the position stuff because the positions are changing every time, so we just have to do those manually. But I'm going to start doing that a little bit more. It'll speed up the process just a hair. Just past that and bring it home. Boom. Punchy. Check it out. Okay. This dude, you're not going to move as much. All right. Now, normally I would go back, spend some time making sure that, this one's not moving as much as this one. But we're kind of working in a compressed time frame right now. So I'm going to let some of that stuff slide. All right. That looks good. It's definitely moving more than that one, so that's fine. Okay, let's scoot this over. And I'm trying to use the spacing from this, just trying to eyeball it. And then back home. Paste, use that easing, crank it up. All right, last one. Over. Out. Over. Back. Sweet. Easing. Punchiness. All right, we're getting there. We got 2 more of these to do. Once again, reusing this as a starting point. And then let's make those adjustments that we need. All right, Pepper 1, your time. Oh, no, you're not Pepper 1. You need a name change. You're Pepper 4. And you're not outline. You know what? I'm not going to change that. All right, we're going to turn that off. Boom. All right, let's copy those scale keys from Pepper Group 3. And actually, let me do this really quick. This will make it a little bit easier. Boom. Now I can just hit those targets and I know where I'm at. Okay. Just the scale keys. Put those here. Oops. I think I copied the wrong thing here. Oh, yeah. I did. All right, here we go. Get these scale keys. Select this. Go to the 4-star animation. Paste it. Boom. All right, so here's where I'm going to start making the changing up the scale a little bit more to make these animations a little bit more exciting. I'm also going to add some additional effects. So we're going to start by bringing this one up to 130 and probably shrink it down even more. 70. Okay. Maybe shrink this one down just a hair. Okay, cool. Let's do our position stuff now. All right. Scoot you over. Where are we at? Here we go. Scoot you out. Scoot you over. Bring you home. Okay. Same thing for these. Scooch, scooch. Nope. Home. Okay. Oh, that one moves a little too much. Hang on. That one is just, it was a little too obvious that it was moving too much. And maybe too much this way. Okay. Cool. Yep. All right, scoot that over a little bit. Scoot it out a little bit. Scoot it over. Bring it home. Okay, that looks all right. Let's do this one. All right, one more animation after this, and then we're going to get into the fun stuff. We'll add some, start adding some cool effects. Okay, sweet. That one's done. Go ahead and copy all this, and we're on to our 5-star animation. Now, you'll notice that there's already some effects added to this. We've got that boom, the little spark stuff. We're going to use that for now. I'm going to actually hide this and just get back and do these. All right, so let's make those opacity adjustments. All right. Okay, that's cool. All right, let's do the scale stuff. So I'm going to copy those. Let's scale from group 4 and add it to group 5. Nope, I did it on group 4. Here we go. Add it there. Boom. All right, now I'm going to change the scale for these again. 65. We're just going to add a little bit more scale. Just make it a little punchier. I'm probably going to leave the bounce the same. Okay, cool. Now this one's a little, I actually like doing it on the line because it makes it a little bit easier to do. All right, there we go. You know, this chili actually reminds me of chilies. And I'm gonna admit to you something. I don't always get on Twitter, but the other day, wow, that's moving over too much. The other day, I saw somebody asking like, "How is Chili's even in business?" And I'll tell you what, dude, that 2 for $20, that's a good deal. It's actually a horrible deal, but remember when I was growing up, that was like the fanciest restaurant we had, and so we used to go there quite a bit, actually. Now, you wouldn't catch me in a chili these days, but boy, there was a time where Chili's really hit the spot. Okay. Now we're going to start making it fall off a little bit more. It needs to go home. There we go. And then we're just going to slightly wiggle the back one. Okay. Last little bit of the same animation stuff. Match that easing. Boop. All right, double check that. Okay, so because it's already set up in the state machine, let's go take a look at that state machine and make sure that everything actually looks right. Okay, it doesn't because the listeners are messed up. So let's just add new listeners. So I'm going to select this, and by selecting the group, it means that if you target anything within this group, not the bounding box, but the group, it'll play the animation. So I'm going to start there. So Pepper Group 1. When the pointer's down, set our rating input to 1. And then this one, pointer down, set rating input to 2. Here, rating 3. Pointer down, rating 4. Oops, don't need another one there. There we go. Pointer down. Rating 5. All right, now let's test it out. Okay, looks pretty good. Boy, that actually maybe a little too much springy on the 1, 2, and 3 Scoville animations. By the way, I didn't update the names for these. I'm gonna do that now. Scoville. There we go. Okay. So that's all done. Let's go in and actually add our effects. So the 2 effects that I'm going to add for this one, well, for this final pepper, I want the pepper to actually light on fire. So we're going to create a fire effect. But before that, if you remember back to the star rating, there was like the bloom and then the bloom plus the sparks. So we're going to add smoke on this one. And then this one's going to have fire. So we need to go back to design mode to create a couple things first. So let's start with the fire. So I'm going to use these sparks here. And I'm going to have the flame start from here. So we'll have the sparks generate from down here. And instead of coming out straight like that, I'm going to just curve these just a hair. So I can change that to detached, give myself a little curve, and then move that out. And then we'll do the same thing with this guy over here. Boom. Scoot it in. All right. And let's do this one. Give it a little curve. Scoot it up. Where's this bottom one? Here it is. All right. A little bit of an adjustment. Move it up. All right, that looks pretty good. That's a good, I feel like that's a good path for our sparks. Now, I'm going to change the color of these sparks because right now they're white. And my flame is going to be like yellow and orange. So I'm going to change those to a yellow. Now, let's create the fire. So I've tried a couple different ways to make fire. And one of the things that I find that works really well for me, I learned this from JC, was actually keeping the flames really simple. So we don't want too many vertices that we actually have to manipulate. And we're going to kind of make it blobby. And I'm going to try to follow the same sort of curvature as the pepper. Like this. We may have to adjust it a little bit. We'll make some adjustments in a second. All right. Now let me take this. It doesn't look like a flame right now. It kind of looks like a potato or something. But I promise you it'll look like a flame when we're done with it. Okay. So let me make just a couple adjustments here. All right. That looks pretty good. All right. I think this is going to work. Let's get the color on it. So I'm just going to use, let's see, radial. And my brightest part, I'm going to stick down here at the bottom. And then the darker part, I'm going to actually move up here to the top. All right, so the flame is going to be yellow at the base and orange at the tip. Sort of like that. And then I'll scoop this in, maybe add a little white down here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe the flame at the top could be a little bit more orange, maybe even redder. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, I need to create some animation controls for this so that we can actually do the flame effect. So what I'm going to do is, instead of actually like going in and trying to animate the vertices, I'm just going to create a couple bones and make some controls. And I'll show you why doing it with bones and groups is actually like kind of my favorite way to do it. So, okay, I've got those in there. Let's bind and weight this really quick. Okay, I need all those bones. And then each one of these bones, I'm going to select one by one, create a group, and make a target. So I'm just selecting a group, Command G, switch the style from group to target. And the reason is because I actually, when I scale these groups, I want to scale them from the bones. I want to scale them from the center of the bone. And typically, whenever you group something, the group tries to center itself on all the stuff that you have in it. So that's why when you have like a bunch of different objects that are spread out all over the stage and you group them, it tries to find that center point. So let me show you why I like to use this bone group setup here. So when you go in and you try to, I actually need to weight this stuff, but let me show you what it looks like when you have to animate it just by the vertices. So when you want to animate this, you need to drag this up, and then you need to adjust the length of these handles. Well, when you bind and weight something to a bone, when you scale the group and that bone scales, it actually moves those handles and lengthens the handles. So this is actually super, super useful. Let me just go through and do these weights really quick. So I'm just grabbing the weights for putting the weights on each one of the bones that it corresponds with. This. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we're still good. We got about 15 more minutes, but I'm probably going to go over so I can finish all of this. Okay, so now we can move this around, scale that. You can see how that the handles are actually stretching out if you look at it. So that's why doing it like this is actually really nice. So this is going to allow us to make a nice little flame effect. So for this flame effect, most of the effects on the star rating were done in the same animation that it gets triggered in. So the sparks are here and those go off, which is fine. But the thing is about this flame is that I want it to continuously loop. So I need to put the looping of the flame on its own animation and stick that on an additional layer. So we're going to do that in a minute. We need to organize everything that we have here. So let's move this, and all these groups need to be under the Pepper Group 5. And then the sparks also need to be under Pepper Group 5. So now let's see what that looks like. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to need to add some of the animation keys for this flame in our 5-star animation. And so let's see, how do I want to do this? I don't want to scale it from there. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab all those groups, make another group, and I'm not going to put a group target on it, or I'm not going to change it to target group, because I want to save myself. I'm starting to get too many targets on my pepper here, so I'm not going to clutter the space. All right, now I made that group and I changed the origin down here to the bottom so that I can animate that flame growing from the bottom like that. All right, so at the beginning of the 5 Scoville animation, we want this to be small. I'm also going to key the opacity to 100, that's fine. And then let's see, where do we want it to come out at? Like maybe here. Let's bring it up to 100. Yeah, because I want the sparks to go off and then the flame to come out. So that works. I'll make it a little punchier. Okay. So we've got our flame coming in. It doesn't really look cool yet, but let's add in the looping flame animation, and that should make it look a little bit better. So I'm going to make 2 new animations, and I'll explain why 2 in a second. So the first animation is going to be called Effects Off, and then I'm going to call this one Effects, no. What am I going to call this? Yeah, Effects 5 for my 5th animation. All right. So on this one, we need to animate our flame loop. So the first thing I'm going to do is give myself a little bit extra time and then create a work area. So I'm going to give myself 1 second to work with here. between there and there. All right, that's enough space for a looping animation. Okay, so let's make ourselves a nice little flame. So I'm going to start with this going up and shrinking it in. So we're going to squash the flame and stretch the flame. Squash, stretch, squash, stretch. So we're going to move these in like this, but we don't want it to go behind the pepper. Oops, wrong one. Move that up a little bit maybe. All right, we're going to probably scale it in like that. All right, so that's a nice stretched out flame. So now I'm going to go to the center, and then I'm going to stretch everything out because I'm going to move this down, move it out, move this down, move it out, move this down, and scale it like that. All right, and then we'll complete the loop. And then we're going to make some changes. All right, so let's just take a look and see what that looks like. All right, oh, well, the problem is we are using a second. That's fine. Loop. Okay, so it's way too slow right now, but we can fix that. So what I'm going to do is instead of having the loop complete after, the flame loop complete after 2 seconds, we're gonna build 2 loops here. So instead of them being 1 second long, we're going to make each loop 30 frames long. All right, so take that, move it over. All right, so the speed's a little bit better. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really love this right here. It might not be that big of a deal. You know what? I'm going to fix that. I'll rotate it a little bit. That looks, okay. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So from here, what we're going to do is just take this flame, the one at the top, this bone, and instead of having it go straight up and down, I'm going to double check, make sure I don't have any X keys. I do have X keys. All right, I'm going to remove those. All right, so we're going to start the flame on the left, go to the right in the middle of the loop, and then bring it back to the start, so that it has like a swinging left, swinging right, and up and down sort of motion. All right, maybe a hair too much. So let's scoot those X values in just a little bit. Here. Here. And then bring it back. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so that's not as bad. Okay, so this is nice. The next thing I want to do is I'm actually going to add some sparks that fly off the top. So I'm just going to do the same thing we did with these sparks. I'm just going to grab the pen tool and make a couple little paths that come off the top here. Like this. I'm going to duplicate the path. Do I want to do it? Yeah. That works. All right. -100 makes it symmetrical, but I'll move it over a little bit. And then instead of having fill, don't need the fill, need strokes. And I'm going to actually turn the stroke up pretty wide, I think, for now. I'm going to use this orange color, rounded end caps. And then we're going to do sequential trim paths so that when the first path is done, the second path will start, and then it'll start back over. Now, let's move these down to Pepper 5 group. Yeah, we'll just have them here, and we'll call this Flame Sparks. Sparks. And these are, whatever, those can stay as star sparks. That's fine. All right, so let's animate these. So let's say the offset here, actually, I'm going to reorganize these paths so that the left path animates first and then the right path. All right. Let's do offset 0, offset 100. Is that right? Yeah, that's probably right. All right, now I know the sparks are a little too big. But we're going to fix that. So we're going to start by keying the stroke thickness at 5.2, and then it takes 30 frames to get there, so we're going to crank that down to 0. And then before it starts again on the next frame, oh, not 100. Jeez Louise, that's way too much. Hang on, let me grab that thickness. There we go. Boom, thickness. Paste it there. So then it should be big again. Okay, cool. And then we'll bring it back down to whatever this is. No, it needs to go here. It needs to go to 0. And then here, it needs to go back. All right, that's nice. Let's see. Probably even turn the opacity down on it to make it go away even faster, but I think this looks fine. All right, so our effect animation is good. We're going to have to go in and key some stuff in these other animations. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's make sure that our 5 Scoville animation, the flame is at 100% opacity. 4 Scoville, it's at 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, idle, 0. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with our flame sparks. 0, 0, 0, 0, 100. Actually, no. 0. And then we'll turn it on to 100 like here, I think. Let's see how that works. No. We'll turn them on at the end like that. Hold key. Actually, where's that flame covered up? Right there. Boom. Sparks will turn on there. So this should be 0. And then when we get to here, those will turn on. Okay. Now let's hook this additional layer up to the state machine. So this layer is going to be the effects layer. And this, again, the reason I'm putting the effects on a different one is because we have a looping animation that we want to play. And now we could put it on the same layer here. We could have the 5 Scoville animation play and then have an additional animation over here that it just, once this plays 100%, it goes to that animation. But I like to do it on separate layers. It's less to keep less to keep track of. Okay, so let's have this effects animation off there, and then effects 5. And so I'm gonna make we've had a bunch of questions about or statements instead of and statements, and we can do or statements by having multiple transitions. So I'm going to say that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so if the rating is 0, if the rating is 1, if the rating is 2, if the rating is 3, if the rating is 4, it goes to this effects off layer. And then if it's 5, it goes to this layer. And let's double check this and make sure all of this works. We'll see how it looks. All right, so we're missing a key somewhere. Might be on the idle animation. Okay, the flames look pretty good. I think that looks pretty good. So let's fix that first error. It's here. Okay, flame sparks. Let's turn those off in the idle. And that should fix everything. Okay, yeah, I'm realizing that these animations here, these bouncing animations for the 1 and 2 pepper animations, a little too much. I'm not going to turn those down right now. Let's just get the rest of this finished up. Okay, so we've got our flame animations. Now let's add the spark, or no, not spark, the smoke animation to this one, because I want to show that the peppers are heating up by more than just the color increasing to a hotter color. So we're going to make some smoke. So let's go to design mode. First thing we're going to do, we're going to reuse these sparks. I'm going to take these, scoot them over here. And I'm going to move this one down to the pepper group 4. All right. And I'm going to change this to, since we're on a dark background, I'm going to change this to like a light gray. And then I'm going to make some more trim path stuff. So let's do, I'm going to do a smoke path here, here, and here. Let's bring it out, in, up. All right, just like that. Now I'm going to take this, and instead of doing it on the same one, the same shape layer, and then using sequential or synced, I'm going to do it like this, because what I want to do is have the 3 smoke things go up. I want them to be traveling up together, but I want to stagger their start so that the first one plays, second one, third one, and it's not just one at a time. So that's why I have 3 of these. All right, we don't need the fill. We need the stroke. Doesn't matter which one of those we pick. I'm going to turn that off, actually, just for the time being, so we can get all these spaced out. I'm going to just try not to have any of these smoke paths cross over. That'll be all right. Maybe just bring that one just a little bit over. All right, so it looks kind of like we got spaghetti coming off of our pepper. And I don't want these to be white. Make them gray. Oops. There we go. Okay, let's enable that trim path. And it again, doesn't matter. And let me find. That looks okay. All right, and I'm going to bring the thickness up. Okay, where are we going to put these? We're going to put these on pepper group 4. And I'm going to call this smoke 1, smoke 2, smoke 3. Now, I tried a bunch of different smoke effects, and I'm still looking for the best smoke effects. If you have any cool smoke effects you want to share, listen, I'm all ears. But this one actually turned out relatively okay. All right, so let's get these animated, and then I think we'll be done. Yeah, we're just a couple minutes over right now. No big deal. Okay, so the question is, do I want to put these on the effects layer? We can. Let's put it on the effects layer. That's fine. Okay. So let's go to effects off then. And let's say that smoke 1, smoke 2, smoke 3 are off. And yeah, we can set that. And then let's add another animation and call it effects 4. Now this one doesn't need to be looping. It can be a one shot. And I'm trying to actually think if I do want these on the pepper group 4. Maybe so. We'll do it for right now. Okay. We'll see how this turns out. And then we can make some changes. Okay, so where does this pepper come back up? 25 frames. So maybe that's where we'll start our smoke animation at. You know what? I'm kind of changing my mind. I'm not going to actually do that. I'm not going to do it here. Delete. Let's do it on here. That's fine. That way we can see everything together. All right, let's do our spark animation. And honestly, I like I like all the stuff that's going on here with these sparks, so I'm going to copy a lot of these. So opacity, I'm going to copy that from sparks 5, go back to the 4, and then I need to set some keys so I can actually see this. So let's set an opacity key, and then I can go in here and paste those opacity keys that I just copied. Okay, and then we need to grab the other keys. So what else we got? What other goodies do you have for me? Thickness and trim start and trim end. Okay. So let's set a thickness key. Boom. And then we can paste this in there. Now I know the timing's off, but that's all right. Boom. I'll change that in a second. And now we need the start and end values. Let's see. Here. Trim start. Do they actually do the same thing? 0 to... One goes 0 to 100 and one goes 0 to 98. All right, end goes 0 to 98. Keep that in mind. Instead of copy and pasting, I'm just going to type those in. Okay. Trim start and trim end. And then trim start goes to 100. Trim end goes to 98. Boom. Perfect. Okay, and I think we can bump this over. All right, cool. So we've got our start of our smoke. It's just like a little poof. Now let's have the sizzle. Sizzle smoke. All right. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to animate these all together. All right. We're going to start with this. We're going to start the... No. Let's turn them off. 0. And then after 5 frames, the opacity turns on. We also need the thickness, and then let's say there they go offset 100. So they've done their... Oh, I didn't key the start offset here. So offset 0. Boom. Okay, now let's turn that thickness down. All right. Okay, that's cool. Now we can adjust the timing of all of this. So let's scoot all of this over for right now. All right, one issue is that the opacity is turning on, and then we're moving. Let's move before the opacity turns on. It's like there. And I'm also going to change the easing. Something a little more punchy. Maybe not. I think linear is okay. Now are we moving? Not really moving yet. Hang on. Okay, now we're moving before the opacity comes on. And we'll spread that out a little bit. Because that smoke shouldn't be moving too fast. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is just offset this stuff. So this is the one that I want to go first. Smoke 2, you're going second. Smoke 3, obviously you're going third. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Probably want a little bit more space. So I'm going to give myself a couple extra milliseconds here just to spread these out just a hair more. I might be okay with this. All right, that looks good. I don't need all that time, so we're going to scoot it back a little bit more. All right, so the sparks go off. Boom. Then 1, then 2, then 3. Okay, so we've got our smoke animation. We've got our fire animation. Let's double check all this in the state machine. All right, so we need to set some smoke opacity keys. And let's go back. Yeah, those are getting stuck, so we need to set some keys for that. All right. So let's do that really quick, and then I think that's going to be it, actually. I think we're there. All right. Idle. All these, let's just say the opacity's off. Let's just do that. Let's turn the opacity off. We should probably set a key for, ooh, this is on. I'll double check those in a minute. Make sure nothing's out of whack. Oh, wait. Yeah, should be off here. And then here, yeah, that's on. Okay, cool. All right, now let's double check it. All right, I'm just trying to quick flip through these to make sure nothing's getting stuck. Those get stuck. So let me look at those smoke things really quick. I just want to clean up this last couple things here. And then we'll call it a night. Okay. Let me check this animation. Make sure that they get turned on. Okay. 0. Okay. So they will get turned back on. So we're safe to cut the opacity off in all these animations, including idle. And let's double check that. Okay, cool. That's not getting stuck anymore. Flames are going off. Everything looks good. All right. You know what? I'm going to publish this to community right now. Here we go. We're going to publish state machine 1. That'll be the ooh, no, we can't do that. Listen, we gotta turn these guys off. Go away. You're making my thumbnail look bad. I mean, I've been known to make a bad thumbnail or two, but not this time. You're not getting me this time. Okay. Cloud renderer. Nope. Not cloud. What am I doing? Publish to the community. We already talked about this. Okay. Let's call this hot Pepp-o-rater. 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 Perfect. That's great. Okay. This one goes out to Sean Evans, the man with the hot questions and even hotter wings. Perfect. Okay. Boom. That's in the community. If y'all want to grab that, remix it, reference it, if you're trying to build anything. And yeah, that's going to be it. If y'all weren't able to make it, I mean, obviously, it's going to be up on YouTube tomorrow or later tonight, and you can watch the full thing later. So if you didn't catch the whole thing, or if you want to go back and reference anything, then feel free. Let's see. Here's a real quick reminder. Next week, we go to streaming 3 times a week. So you'll have your normal Tuesday stream. We'll have the Wednesday night stream, and then you'll also have a Thursday workshop. Other than that, I'm really, listen, I had a good time tonight. I'm looking forward to the next one. So yeah, everybody take care. And hey, listen, it's an hour and 15. I think we got done quicker than we did last time. So that's showing improvement. Anyways, yeah, take care, and I'll see everybody in the next one.